Let me tell you something most people get wrong. They think wealth is about money. They think it's about a number in their bank account, a luxury car, or a big house with a fancy view. But let me ask you this, if wealth is just about money, then why do so many rich people feel empty? Why do so many of them drown in stress, addiction, and regret? Why do we see stories of millionaires who had everything yet still lost it all, sometimes even their own lives? Because most people are chasing an illusion. They believe that if they just get enough money, everything else will magically fall into place. But real wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what you control. It's about the kind of freedom that lets you wake up every morning and decide how you want to spend your time. It's about peace of mind, not just a paycheck. Think about this, if you have all the money in the world but no time to enjoy it, are you really wealthy? If you have millions in the bank but you're shackled to a job that drains your soul, do you actually have freedom? And if your wealth comes at the cost of your relationships, your health, or your sanity, is it even worth it? Real wealth is about ownership, owning your time, owning your choices, owning your life. It's about creating a foundation that can't be shaken by a bad economy, a lost job, or even a personal setback. And the truth is, you don't need millions to be truly wealthy. You need control. You need discipline. You need a mindset that refuses to be a slave to money. Let's break it down. If you spend every dollar you earn, you're not wealthy, you're just temporarily holding money before it leaves your hands. If your lifestyle depends on a paycheck, then you're living on borrowed time. And if your happiness is tied to material things, then you're not in control, your possessions are controlling you. The people who build real wealth understand something fundamental. Money is a tool, not a goal. They invest in skills, not just salaries. They prioritize freedom over fleeting pleasures. They build streams of income that don't require them to trade every hour of their life just to survive. And most importantly, they understand that wealth starts in the mind, not in the wallet. So stop chasing the illusion, stop running after numbers, and start focusing on what really matters: ownership of your time, your choices, and your future. Because true wealth isn't about having more, it's about needing less. And when you master that, you'll realize you were rich long before the money ever showed up. We've all heard the same story. Work hard, put in the hours, grind when no one is watching, and one day you'll make it. But let's be honest, if hard work was the only factor, then construction workers, janitors, and factory employees would be the wealthiest people in the world. And yet they aren't. Why? Because success isn't just about working hard, it's about working right. You can spend your entire life climbing the ladder, only to realize I was leaning against the wrong wall. Effort without direction is wasted motion. Hustle without strategy is just noise. It's not about how much you do, it's about what you do, how you do it, and whether it actually moves the needle. Think about two people in the gym. One lifts weights randomly, doing whatever feels right in the moment. The other follows a structured program, focusing on progressive overload, tracking every set and rep. Who gets stronger? Who sees results? It's not the one sweating more, it's the one training smarter. The same applies to life. Hard work is the foundation, but strategy is the blueprint. Without it, you're just spinning your wheels, burning energy without real progress. So ask yourself, are you truly working towards success, or are you just keeping busy? Because there's a difference. And that difference determines whether you stay stuck or whether you rise above. Let me ask you something. How many hours did you work last week? How much energy did you pour into grinding, hustling, and pushing forward? And after all that effort, does it feel like you're truly moving ahead? Or does financial freedom still seem like a distant dream, always slipping just out of reach? You're not alone. Millions of people wake up every day, work their fingers to the bone, and still struggle to make ends meet. They do everything they were told: get a job, put in the hours, be responsible, but at the end of the month, their bank account tells a different story. The math doesn't add up. The system doesn't seem fair. And the frustration builds. Why am I working this hard if I still feel stuck? The truth is, hard work alone is not the key to financial freedom. If effort were all it took, then every construction worker, every nurse pulling a double shift, every single parent juggling 2 jobs would be wealthy. But they aren't. Because the real game, the game of wealth, doesn't reward sweat. It rewards strategy. So here's the harsh reality. If your orders are not until I'm getting at, it's not just about the hours you're putting in. It's about how you're using them. What are you working on? Where's your effort going? Are you just earning, or are you building? Are you spending, or are you investing? Are you stuck in the cycle of working for money, or are you positioning yourself so money starts working for you? This is where most people get trapped. They believe financial freedom is something they earn through sheer effort, but in reality, it's something they create through smart decisions. And the difference between the two is life-changing. So the real question isn't just why does financial freedom still feel out of reach? The real question is, what are you doing today to change that? By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to shift from survival mode to wealth mode. Let me tell you something, most people don't live, they survive. They wake up, go to work, pay bills, and repeat the cycle. They do what they must, not what they dream. They tell themselves, one day I'll get ahead. But that day never comes. Why? Because they're stuck in survival mode, and survival mode is a trap. Survival mode is when your only focus is making it through the day, the week, the month. It's a mindset of scarcity, a constant battle of just enough. It keeps you exhausted, distracted, and reactive. You make decisions based on fear instead of vision. You play it safe, not because you want to, but because you feel like you have no choice. But wealth mode, that's different. Wealth mode is about abundance, growth, and control. It's about thinking ahead, building instead of patching, planting instead of scavenging. And the difference between the two, it's not luck. It's not just hard work. It's mindset, strategy, and execution. The first shift you need to make is this: stop seeing money as something you earn and spend. See it as something you control. Poor people chase money, wealthy people move money. Poor people think in terms of expenses, wealthy people think in terms of investments. Every dollar you touch is either a soldier working for your future or a prisoner lost to your past. You decide where it goes. Next, you have to stop trading time for survival. If the only way you make money is by working for it, you'll always be in survival mode. Wealthy people build systems that make money for them. They create value that pays them long after the work is done. That means learning new skills, making smart investments, and thinking long term. And let's talk about mindset. Well, survival mode is fueled by fear. Fear of losing, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. But here's the truth, fear is a liar. It tells you to play it safe when playing it safe is what keeps you broke. It tells you that change is risky when staying the same is the biggest risk roll. If you let fear run your life, you'll stay in survival mode forever. So how do you break free? You start by making decisions like a wealthy person before you have wealth. You save before you spend. You invest before you entertain. You build before you buy. You put your energy into things that create value, not just consume it. You stop looking for quick wins and start playing the long game. And finally, you take responsibility. No one is coming to save you. No government, no job, no lottery ticket. Your future is in your hands, and the sooner you own that truth, the sooner you can change your life. You can stay in survival mode, or you can shift into wealth mode. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, it is a choice. By the end of this, you know exactly what to do. Now, the real question is, will you do it? Let me ask you something. Did you ever feel like you were following a script someone else wrote for you? From the time you were a kid, they told you work hard, get good grades, go to college, get a stable job, save for retirement. And one day, maybe, just maybe, you'll have enough to finally enjoy life. But deep down, did it ever feel right? Did it ever feel like you were in control? They told you that hard work was the key, but they didn't tell you that hard work by itself is not enough. The world is full of people working themselves to exhaustion, only to find that no matter how many hours they put in, they're still stuck. They're still living paycheck to paycheck, still worrying about rent, about bills, about whether they'll ever get ahead. Because here's the truth, they never taught you how wealth is actually built. They only taught you how to be a good worker. They trained you to follow orders, not to question the system. They prepared you to be part of the machine, not to own it. They gave you the illusion of security while keeping you just comfortable enough not to rebel. You were told to trade your time for money, but no one told you that the wealthiest people don't do that. The wealthy trade money for time. They invest, they build, they create systems that generate income even when they sleep. Think about it. When was the last time anyone in school sat you down and taught you about real estate? About stocks? About starting a business? About how money actually grows? They didn't, because that knowledge is power. And if you had it, you wouldn't need to rely on them. Look around. The people who are truly free didn't get there by following the traditional path. They broke the script. They learned the rules of the game that no one else was teaching. And now they play by their own rules. So ask yourself, are you going to keep playing the role they assigned you? Or are you going to take back control and start writing your own story? Fancy cars, big houses, designer brands, the symbols of success are everywhere. But are they real? Look around. Social media, movies, magazines, everywhere you turn, you see the same message. Success is about what you own. The flashy car, the $1 million mansion, the closet filled with designer clothes. Society feeds us this image, convincing us that if we don't have these things, we're behind, that we're failing. But let me ask you something, is that really what success looks like? Or is it just a carefully crafted illusion? Think about it. We see someone driving a luxury car and we assume they've made it. But do we know what's behind that car? Is it owned outright or drowning in debt? Is it a symbol of wealth or a symbol of insecurity? A desperate attempt to prove something to the world. Too often we confuse possessions with prosperity, mistaking appearance for achievement. Success is not about what you can show off. It's about what you can sustain. It's about what you build, what you create, what you control. A person who owns nothing but has complete freedom is far richer than someone buried in debt just to keep up appearances. The real question isn't what you own, it's what owns you. Most people chase the image of wealth without understanding what's behind it. They see the end result, the expensive watch, the exotic vacations, the lifestyle, but they never stop to ask how it was built. They want the rewards without the effort, the glory without the grind. And that's where they fail. Because true wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about being rich. And being rich starts with a mindset, not a shopping list. The wealthy don't chase status symbols, they chase value, they invest in assets, not liabilities. They understand that money is a tool, not a trophy. And that's why they keep winning. Meanwhile, the people who chase appearances stay stuck in a cycle, earning to spend. Spending to impress. Impressing to fill a void that can never truly be filled. So ask yourself, are you building wealth or just plain dress up? Are you securing your future or just trying to look good for the present? Because at the end of the day, when the noise dies down and the spotlight fades, only one thing will matter. What you truly have, not what you pretended to own. Let me ask you something. If luck made people rich, why are most lottery winners broke within a few years? You've heard the stories. Someone wins millions overnight and within a short time, they're worse off than before. How does that happen? Wasn't luck supposed to change their life forever? The truth is, luck is an event, but wealth is a process. A windfall might put money in your hands, but if you don't understand how to use it, it slips through your fingers like sand. Think about it. If someone handed you a plane, could you fly it? No, without training, without skill, without understanding the controls, you crash. Money works the same way. Wealth isn't just about how much you have, it's about what you know. The people who stay rich, who build legacies, who create lasting success, they don't rely on luck. They rely on knowledge, discipline, and strategy, and that's why true wealth isn't about sudden windfalls, it's about understanding the system. Money follows rules. We don't play the same game as everyone else because they understand the rules better. They know how to make money work for them instead of working for money. They invest, they multiply, they create systems that generate income whether they're awake or asleep. But here's the hard truth. Most people don't take the time to learn the system. They spend years in school memorizing dates and equations they'll never use, but never learn about taxes, investing, or wealth building. So when they get money, whether it's a paycheck, an inheritance, or even a lottery win, they spend it like someone who doesn't know they're holding a golden ticket. They blow it on things that depreciate instead of things that grow. And then they wonder why they're back to square one. The system isn't hidden, but it also isn't taught to you. You have to seek it out. You have to educate yourself. You have to start asking the right questions. How does money grow? How does it work? How do I make it work for me instead of being a slave to it? Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep, how much you grow, and how well you understand the system that controls it all. So stop waiting for luck. Stop thinking one big break is going to change everything. Instead, start learning, start building, start mastering the game. Because wealth isn't an accident. It's a decision. Let me tell you something, most people are playing their own game. They wake up, go to work, collect a paycheck, and believe that's the only way to survive. They trade their time for money, thinking that's the system, that's life. But the wealthy, they play by an entirely different set of rules. And the craziest part, most people don't even know this game exists. It's like showing up to a chess match thinking you're playing checkers. You move your pieces, you follow what you've been taught, and you wonder why you keep losing. But the truth is, the board is bigger than you think. The rules aren't what you were told. The rich, they don't play for paychecks. They play for ownership. They don't chase money. They make money chase them. Think about how do you build wealth when your time is limited? So if you work 40, 50, even 60 hours a week, there's a cap on what you can earn. The wealthy understand this. They don't rely on a single source of income. They build systems that generate money while they sleep. They invest in assets, businesses, and ideas that keep growing without their direct effort. Meanwhile, the average person is stuck in a cycle, earn, spend, repeat. They work harder, thinking that's the answer. But effort alone isn't enough. The game isn't about working more hours. It's about working the right way. And if you don't learn the rules of this game, you'll always be a pawn in someone else's strategy. Most people think wealth is flashy cars, big houses, designer brands. They see someone driving a luxury car and assume they're rich. But let me ask you, have you ever seen a millionaire wearing a $10 t-shirt and driving a beat-up truck? Because I have. And guess what? That person might have more money in their investments than the guy flexing a rented Lamborghini. Wealth isn't about what you see, it's about what you don't. It's about the accounts stacking up in the background. It's about the businesses running on autopilot, the stocks growing in value, the real estate generating passive income. The rich don't care about looking rich, they care about being rich. Let's break it down. If you make $100,000 a year and spend $90,000 of it, you're not wealthy. You're just someone with an expensive lifestyle. But if you make $60,000, invest half and let it grow year after year, you're building real wealth. Most people never see this because they're focused on their own scoreboard. They think success is what's in their hand, not what's working behind the scenes. But the truth, the people who truly have financial power don't need to prove it to anyone. So ask yourself, are you playing for appearances or are you playing to win? Because real wealth isn't loud, it's silent. It's the freedom to walk away from a job you hate. It's the power to make choices without fear. It's knowing that while the world is chasing the next paycheck, your money is working for you. And if you don't start thinking this way, you'll spend your life chasing a dream that was never yours to begin with. Most people wake up every morning and do the same thing, clock in, grind for hours, and clock out. They trade their time for a paycheck, believing that's the only way to survive. They work harder, hoping for a raise, a promotion, a slightly bigger slice of the pie. But let me ask you, who owns the bakery? The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. They don't trade hours for a paycheck, they trade ideas, strategies, and ownership for wealth. They understand one simple truth: if your income depends on the hours you put in, you're trapped. There are only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much you can do before you burn out. Think about the people you know who work the hardest: nurses pulling double shifts, construction workers breaking their backs, teachers staying late to help students. They work tirelessly, and yet most of them struggle financially. Now think about the people who own businesses, real estate, or stocks. They're not clocking in and out. Their money is working 24/7, whether they wake up at 5 a.m. or sleep until noon. That's the difference. The wealthy put their money into assets, things that grow, multiply, and generate income without their constant effort. A rental property brings in cash every month. Smart investment in the business pays dividends. A well-placed stock or digital product earns while they sleep. Meanwhile, the average person is stuck in an endless loop, making just enough to get by, but never enough to break free. The game isn't about working more hours. It's about working smarter, building systems, and putting your money in places where it grows instead of disappearing. If you don't learn this, you'll spend your entire life working for money while someone else collects wealth off your labor. Look around. How many people do you know who say, I just need a better job, or if I could make a little more, I'd be okay? They think the answer is a bigger paycheck. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how much you earn if your mindset stays the same. If you don't make the shift from trading time for money to building wealth, you will always be stuck in the same cycle, just at a different price point. Let's get real. How many people have gotten a raise only to increase their spending and end up in the same financial struggle? How many people win the lottery, make millions, and end up broke within a few years? The problem is the money. It's the way they think about money. The shift is simple. The powerful stop working for every dollar. Start making every dollar work for you. Instead of spending your entire paycheck, invest a portion of it. Instead of relying solely on your job, build income streams that don't require your time. Learn to own, not just earn. Because here's the harsh truth: if you don't make this shift, nothing changes. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many hours you put in, you'll always be running on the same treadmill, going nowhere. And one day you'll look back and wonder where all those years went, realizing you spent them chasing paychecks instead of building a life of freedom. But if you choose to see things differently, if you decide today to start learning, investing, and thinking like an owner instead of an employee, everything changes. Because once you make money work for you, you're no longer a prisoner of the clock. You're no longer trading your life for a paycheck. You're in control. Let's get something straight. A job is not wealth. A job is survival. It pays you for the hours you put in. And once those hours are gone, so is the money. You work, you get paid. You stop working, the money stops. That's the trap. But let me ask you, what if you could get paid over and over again for something you did once? What if, instead of only working for money, your money started working for you? That's the difference between income and investment. Think about it. You work 40 hours a week, get your paycheck, and most of it is gone by the end of the month: bills, rent, food. Then you do it all over again. But what if a portion of your money was something that kept growing, kept paying you even when you weren't working? Look at the wealthiest people in the world. They don't rely on a paycheck. They invest in businesses, stocks, real estate, things that generate income whether they show up or not. They plant seeds today that turn into money trees tomorrow. You might be thinking, I don't have money to invest. But the truth is, it's not about how much you start with, it's about how you think. Even small investments over time turn into something powerful. The key is to stop spending every dime you make and start putting your money in places that multiply. Because here's the harsh truth: if your only source of income is your job, you're one bad day away from financial disaster. An injury, a layoff, an economic downturn. If your job disappears, what do you have left? But if you have investments, if you've built assets, your money keeps coming in no matter what happens. A job pays you once, an investment pays you forever. Which one are you choosing? There are two ways to approach money. You can think like a worker, or you can think like an owner. Workers trade time for money. Owners trade money for time. Workers follow orders. Owners create the system. Workers build someone else's dream. Owners build their own. Which one are you? Let me paint a picture for you. Two people walk into the same business. One is an employee, the other is the investor. The employee is thinking, how much will I get paid? The investor is thinking, how much will this business make me? One is focused on wages. The other is focused on wealth. Most people are trained to be workers from the moment they step into a classroom. Get good grades, get a degree, get a job, but no one teaches you how to be an owner, how to build, how to invest, how to take control. That's why so many people stay stuck working for a paycheck their entire lives, while small percentage own the companies, the stocks, the real estate. Thinking like an owner means seeing opportunities, not just paychecks. It means looking beyond the next bill and focusing on long-term freedom. It means instead of asking, how much can I make this month, you start asking, how much can I build in the next 5 years? Because at the end of the day, the worker works for the owner. The question is, which one do you want to be? Most people think their biggest problem is not making enough money. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is what they do with the money they already have. The poor focus on income, how much they earn, how much their next raise will be, how much their paycheck covers. They believe if they just made more money, their problems would disappear. But have you ever seen someone get a higher salary and still struggle? Because it happens all the time. Why? Because income alone doesn't make you rich. Assets do. Let's break it down. You can make $100,000 a year, but you spend every penny on rent, car payments, and entertainment, you have nothing. On the other hand, someone making $50,000 a year who invests in real estate, stocks, or a side business is building something that will outlast them. The rich don't just earn money, they turn money into more money. They buy assets, things that generate income. Rental properties that pay them every month, stocks that grow in value, businesses that bring in profit. The poor spend, the rich invest. That's the difference. So the question isn't how much money are you making? The real question is, what are you doing with it? Because if all you focus on is income, you'll always be chasing the next paycheck. But if you focus on assets, one day you won't have to chase anything. Because let's be real, if a paycheck made people rich, then some of the hardest working people in the world would be millionaires. But they're not. Now think about the wealthiest people on the planet: Musk, Bezos, Buffett. Did any of them get there by clocking in, working overtime, and waiting for a raise? No. They didn't just work for money. They made money work for them. Most people spend their lives chasing a bigger paycheck. But here's the problem: you can only work so many hours in a day. There's a ceiling on what you can earn when your income depends on your time. That's why the wealthy don't focus on earning more per hour. They focus on building something that pays them forever. Look at Jeff Bezos. He didn't become the richest man in the world because of a salary. He built Amazon, a system that generates billions whether he's working or not. Musk, he didn't get rich from a paycheck at Tesla. He owns Tesla, SpaceX, and other companies that generate wealth while he sleeps. Warren Buffett, he built an investment empire that makes money 24/7. The lesson is clear. If your only plan for wealth is to work harder, you're playing the wrong game. The world's richest people got there by creating something bigger than themselves. So ask yourself, are you building something that will pay you for life, or are you just working for someone who already has? Most people are stuck in a system designed to keep them working. The wealthy, they build a system. Think about it. The average person wakes up, goes to work, and gets paid for their time. If they stop working, the money stops. But the rich, They create systems that generate money whether they show up or not. Let's take a simple example. Imagine two people. One works at a coffee shop. The other owns the coffee shop. The worker gets paid by the hour. The owner makes money every hour, even if they're on vacation. That's the power of a system. The same applies to online businesses, real estate, investments, anything that keeps working without constant effort. It's why a landlord makes money while their tenants pay rent. It's why an investor earns while the stock market moves. It's why an entrepreneur profits from a business that runs without them. This is what separates those who struggle from those who thrive. The question is, are you building a system or are you trapped inside one? We've been sold a lie that the harder you work, the richer you'll become. But if that were true, construction workers and factory laborers would be billionaires. Wealth isn't just about effort. It's about leverage. Leverage means getting maximum results with minimum effort. It's using money, technology, people, and knowledge to multiply what you can do on your own. The rich understand this. They don't just work hard, they work smart. They use money to buy time. They use people to scale businesses. They use technology to automate income. They use investments to multiply wealth. They create leverage so that success doesn't depend on their personal effort alone. Think of it like this: a single person pushing a car will struggle, but with a labor over a tool, they can lift more of their own weight. That's leverage. That's what separates struggling workers from thriving entrepreneurs. If you're grinding every day with nothing to show for it, it's not because you're not working hard. It's because you're not using leverage. So stop thinking like a laborer and start thinking like a strategist. Because wealth isn't built with sweat alone, it's built with system, strategy, and leverage. Money will be chasing you down. Most people are stuck in survival mode and they don't even realize it. They wake up, go to work, pay their bills, and repeat cycle. No matter how hard they work, they always feel like they're barely keeping up. Always running, never arriving. Let me tell you something, survival mode is a trap. It keeps you focused on just getting by, never on getting ahead. And here's the worst part: it feels normal. It feels responsible. You tell yourself, I'm doing what I have to do. But in reality, you're running on a treadmill that was never designed to let you off. Wealth mode is different. Wealth mode isn't about working harder, it's about breaking free. It's about shifting from just earning money to multiplying money. It's about creating systems, investments, and opportunities that work for you instead of you working for them. Look at the difference between someone in survival mode and someone in wealth mode. The person in survival mode thinks, I need to make more money. The person in wealth mode thinks, I need to make my money work for me. The person in survival mode asks, how much does this cost? The person in wealth mode asks, how much will this make me? If you want to be free, you need to stop thinking like a survivor and start thinking like a builder. Because survival mode is a prison, and the only way out is to change the way you play the game. Think about where you learned the rules of money. Who taught you? Your parents? Your teachers? Society? Now let me ask you something else, people wealthy. Are they free? Or are they struggling just like everyone else? See, the system doesn't teach you how to build wealth. It teaches you how to be a good worker. Go to school, get a job, work hard, retire at 65. That's the plan they gave you. But that plan wasn't designed to make you rich, it was designed to keep you in line. Let me tell you something, the rich don't play by those rules. Their rules, they don't trade time for money. They don't save pennies while inflation eats away at their buying power. They don't put their future in the hands of a paycheck. The rules you were given are broken. If you follow them, you will struggle because they were never meant to lead you to freedom. So what's the alternative? Learn the real rules, the rules of ownership, the rules of leverage, the rules of money multiplication. The rich use money to buy time, not the other way around. They invest in assets, not just jobs. They build systems that generate wealth instead of relying on someone else's paycheck. If you want to escape, you need to stop following the script you were given. Rip it up. Write your own. Because the only way to win is to play the game differently. Most people wear their hard work like a badge of honor. They say, I work 60 hours a week. I never take a day off. I hustle 24/7. And don't get me wrong, hard work is important. But let me ask you this, where is all that effort leading you? Is it building something that will last? Or is it just keeping you running on a hamster wheel? See, grinding will keep you busy, but building will set you free. Look at every successful person in the world. They didn't just work hard, they built something. They built businesses, investment systems. They created value that continued to grow even when they weren't there. Grinding is like digging a ditch with a spoon. Sure, you're working hard, but are you making progress? Building is like using an excavator. You're still putting in effort, but now you have leverage. So ask yourself, are you grinding just to survive, or are you building something that will change your future? It's time to shift your mindset. It's time to stop running in circles and start constructing your path. Let me ask you something. Why do you think your boss hired you? Was it to make you rich? To give you a life of financial freedom? To ensure that you never have to worry about money again? Of course not. Your boss hired you for one reason: to make the company money. And the more valuable you are to the company, the more they'll pay you, right? But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. No matter how valuable you become, they will never pay you enough to be free. Because if you were free, you wouldn't need them anymore. Think about it. If your paycheck suddenly doubled tomorrow, would you quit your job? Probably not. You just adjust your lifestyle: bigger house, nicer car, more expenses. And guess what? You'd still need that paycheck. Your salary isn't designed to set you free. It's designed to keep you coming back. So if you're waiting for a raise, a promotion, or the perfect job to make you financially independent, stop. It will never happen. Your job is a tool, not a ticket to freedom. If you want to be free, you have to take control. You have to start thinking like an owner, not just an employee. Because no one, not your boss, not your company, not even the economy, is going to hand you freedom. You have to build it for yourself. Most people spend their whole lives chasing money. They wake up, go to work, get paid, and repeat. They think, if I just work a little harder, if I just put in a few more hours, if I just get that next promotion, then I'll be rich. But let me tell you something, working harder isn't the answer, because time is limited. You only have 24 hours in a day. And if your income depends on your time, then your income is limited too. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Look at the wealthiest people in the world. Do you think Jeff Bezos is clocking in for a paycheck? Do you think Elon Musk is sitting in office waiting for a boss to approve his raise? No, they build systems, investments, and businesses that generate wealth whether they work or not. This is the shift you need to make. Stop thinking like a worker, start thinking like an investor. Stop focusing on how much you earn, start focusing on how much you grow. Because if you spend your life working for money, you'll always be a servant to it. But if you learn to make money work for you, you'll never have to chase it again. Let me give you two scenarios. Person who works a steady job, makes good money, and saves responsibly. But all they have is their paycheck. If they stop working, their income stops too. Person B owns assets. Maybe they have rental property, stocks, a business, or some other investment that makes money whether they show up or not. They could stop working tomorrow, and their money would keep growing. Who do you think is free? This is why the rich keep getting richer. Because they don't trade time for money. They own things that create money. And if you don't own assets, then guess what? You're someone else's asset. If you rent your home, you're paying the mortgage for your landlord. If you work a job, you're building wealth for the company's shareholders. If you spend all your money on liabilities, cars, gadgets, luxury items, you're making someone else rich, not yourself. The key to wealth isn't how much you make. It's what you own. So stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner. Start building your empire, one investment, one asset, one smart decision at a time. Because at the end of the day, you either own assets or you are one. And only one of those choices leads to freedom. To freedom. Because the grind will wear you down, but building will set you free. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because they never even try. And why don't they try? Fear of losing money. Fear of looking stupid. Fear of stepping outside the plan that society gave them. So they play it safe. They take the guaranteed paycheck, the stable job, the predictable routine. They convince themselves that if they just keep their head down and avoid risks, they'll be fine. But let me tell you something, avoiding risk is the riskiest thing you can do. Because playing it safe doesn't make you rich. It keeps you stuck. Think about every wealthy, successful person you admire. Do you think they got there by avoiding risk? No, they stepped into the unknown. They bet on themselves. They took calculated risks, failed, learned, and tried again. The difference between the rich and the broke isn't just money, it's mindset. The rich know that risk is a requirement for reward. The broke avoid risk like it's a disease, and in doing so, they guarantee their own struggle. So ask yourself, are you letting fear hold you back? Because if you are, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. Comfort is dangerous. It feels good, but it kills ambition. It keeps you stuck in the same job, same income, same routine year after year. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're trapped. Because comfort zones don't look like prisons. They look like nice apartments, decent salaries, and weekends off. But look closer. Are you actually free? Or are you just comfortable enough to tolerate your situation? See, most people don't change their lives because they're not uncomfortable enough to force themselves to. They complain about their paychecks, but they're comfortable enough to stay. They dream about starting a business, but they're comfortable enough to put it off. Meanwhile, the people who succeed, the ones who break out, they're the ones who refuse to get comfortable. They see comfort for what it really is, a financial cage. So if you feel stuck, if you're not where you want to be, ask yourself, have you been playing it too safe? Because nothing great happens in comfort zones. Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort. Fear itself isn't the problem. Everyone feels fears is in how you handle it. The poor let fear dictate their decisions. They think, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work? So they stay where it's safe, never realizing that fear is the very thing keeping them broke. The rich, they feel the same fear, but they don't let it stop them. They understand if it's just a signal, it means you're stepping into something new, something uncertain. And that's exactly where growth happens. Imagine a boxer stepping into the ring, afraid of getting hit. If he lets that fear control him, he loses before the fight even begins. But if he trains himself to push through it, to fight anyway, that's when he starts winning. Wealth works the same way. If you let fear stop you from investing, from taking risks, from making moves you've already lost. So the question isn't, do you feel fear? The question is, do you control it or does it control you? Because at the end of the day, fear is always there, but so is opportunity. And only one of them will decide your future. Most people have been taught the same equation their whole lives: time, money, work more hours, get more money. But that equation is broken because time is limited. And if your income is tied to your time, that means your income is limited too. Look at the wealthiest people in the world. Do you think they're working 80-hour weeks, grinding every second just to make ends meet? No, they're playing a different game. They don't trade time for money, they trade strategy for results. They build businesses that generate income while they sleep. They invest in systems that multiply their money without their direct effort. They create leverage so that their wealth isn't capped by the number of hours in a day. If you're stuck in a job where you only make money when you clock in, you're in a trap. And the only way out is to shift your mindset. Stop thinking like an employee, start thinking like an owner. Instead of asking, how can I make more money by working harder? Ask, how can I make money work for me? Because at the end of the day, the rich don't work harder. They work smarter. And that makes all the difference. You can be the hardest worker in the world, but if you're doing everything alone, you'll always be limited. One person can only do so much. One mind can only solve so many problems. One set of hands can only build so fast. But when you bring people together, everything changes. Look at every great company, every empire, every movement in history. They weren't built by a single person, they were built by teams, by networks, by groups of people aligned with a common goal. Because success isn't just about personal strength, it's about collective power. So ask yourself, are you trying to do everything alone? Are you the only one carrying the weight of your dreams? If you are, it's time to change the strategy. Start building relationships, start finding people who complement your skills, who can multiply your efforts. Because a single candle will eventually burn out, but 1,000 candles, together they create something unstoppable. There are two types of people, those who do the work and those who build the system that does the work. Let me tell you, only one of those groups gets rich. Most people are stuck in the habit of doing everything themselves. They believe that if they just work harder, grind longer, and push through, they'll eventually make it. But hard work alone doesn't lead to wealth. Smart delegation does. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs, investors, and visionaries. They don't micromanage every task. They don't waste time on things someone else could do for them. Instead, they focus on one thing, building a system that works without them. That's the game. Not working harder, building smarter. Not doing everything yourself, creating leverage. If your goal is financial freedom, you have to stop being the worker and start being the architect. Because the richest people in the world aren't the ones doing all the work. They're the ones who built the machine. Let me ask you something, how long are you willing to grind before you realize you're just running in place? Most people think hard work is the answer to everything. Work longer, push harder, sacrifice more. But there's a limit to how much one person can do. If all you do is grind, you're playing a game and you never win. You can stay small, grinding forever, or you can learn to multiply your power. And that starts with a shift in mindset. Think about it, the wealthiest people aren't working harder than you. They aren't staying up later, putting in more hours, or wearing themselves out just to scrape by. No, they understand something most people don't. Tower is meant to be multiplied, not spent. How? By building systems, by investing in assets that work for them, by creating leverage so that every bed and forth they put in continues to grow and expand long after they've stopped working. The truth is, effort alone doesn't create wealth. Multiplication does. So here's the question you need to answer: are you just grinding, or are you building something that will outgrow you? Because if you don't learn to multiply your power, you will stay stuck in the same cycle forever. Every day you make a choice, whether you realize it or not. You wake up, go to work, and put in hours building something. But here's the real question: who are you building it for? Because there are only two options. You're either working harder for someone else's dream, or you're working smarter for your own. Let's be real. Your boss doesn't want you to get rich. Your company doesn't want you to be free. They want you to keep showing up, keep clocking in, keep being just valuable enough to them, but never so valuable that you outgrow them. That's the system. That's the trap. And too many people spend their whole lives running on that hamster wheel, thinking if they just work a little harder, a little more, they'll get ahead. But you don't get ahead by working harder in someone else's game. You get ahead by changing the game entirely. So ask yourself right now, am I building my own vision, or just a piece in someone else's plan? Because if you don't start working smarter for yourself, you'll spend a lifetime working harder for someone else. And that is a choice you make every single day. Look around. The world is filled with people who work hard their whole lives, only to end up with nothing to show for it. They follow the rules, they do what they're told, they trade their time, their energy, their skills building empires, companies, industries. But at the end of the day, they don't own any of it. They just collect the paycheck and hope it's enough. And you know what? It never is, because they weren't building their own freedom. They were fueling someone else's. Now, let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with working a job. There's nothing wrong with getting paid for what you do. But if you never take the time to step back and build something of your own, you will always be dependent on someone else for your survival. So what are you doing today that is truly yours? Are you investing in skills that will give you independence? Are you creating something that pays you even when you're not working? Are you setting yourself up to walk away from the table and still have something left? Because if you're not actively building your own freedom, I promise you, you're just fueling someone else's. And the only way to change that is to make a decision. Right now, what are you going to build for you? Most people are taught to aim for the middle. Get a good job, buy a house, save a little for retirement, and you'll be safe. But let me tell you something, what looks like safety is often just a slow motion crisis. The middle class was never designed to create wealth. It was designed to keep you comfortable enough that you don't question the system, but dependent enough that you can never leave it. Think about it. A good salary feels secure until inflation adds away at it. A mortgage feels like an investment until you realize your payments are going to interest. A retirement fund feels like a plan until the market crashes and takes half of it with it. This is why so many people spend their whole lives running on a treadmill, thinking they're moving forward, when in reality they're staying in the same place. And then one day something happens. The economy shifts, jobs disappear, the cost of living skyrockets, and suddenly that safe middle class life starts feeling a lot like quicksand. The truth is, security doesn't come from having just enough. It comes from having control. And if you're not in control of your income, your future, then you're not safe. You're trapped in a system that was never built to set you free. So ask yourself, am I really secure? Or am I just standing still waiting for reality to catch up? Comfort is a trap. It's the reason people stay in jobs they hate. The reason they never take risks. The reason they settle for good enough instead of pushing for something greater. But here's the problem: comfort is not security. Comfort is just the absence of immediate pain. It's a distraction. A false sense of safety that keeps you from realizing just how little control you actually have. Because the moment you stop growing, the world doesn't stop with you. The cost of living keeps rising. Industries keep changing. The rules keep shifting. And if you're standing still while everything else moves forward, you're not staying safe, you're falling behind. Look around at the people who once had comfortable lives but lost everything when things changed. The ones who thought their jobs would always be there. The ones who believed their savings would always be enough. The ones who never saw the crash coming until it was too late. That's what happens when you mistake comfort for security. So here's the real question. Are you building a life that gives you true freedom? Or are you just settling for a comfortable cage? Because if you're not free, you're not secure. You're just stuck. Everything you rely on today, the economy, your job, your retirement plan, your government benefits, it can all change in an instant. It's happened before. It will happen again. The question is, when it does, will you still be okay? History has proven that the system is not built to protect you. It's built to protect itself. And when times get tough, it's the rich who suffer. It's the people who relied on someone else to take care of them. So what's your plan? Are you learning skills that can survive any economy? Are you creating income streams that don't depend on a single employer? Are you building assets that grow no matter what happens to the market? Because if you're not, then you're rolling the dice on a future you can't control. And that's not security, that's gambling with your life. The people who thrive, no matter what, are the ones who take control before they're forced to. They build, they invest, they prepare. So don't wait for the system to change. Change yourself first. Because when that moment comes in it where you don't want to be the one left asking, what do I do now? You want to be the one who already has the answer. For years, people have been sold the dream that buying a house is the smartest financial decision they can make. It's an investment, they say. It's the safest way to build wealth. But let me tell you something, if you're living in that house, it's not an asset. It's a liability. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. And guess what? Your house takes money every single month. Mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, it all adds up. And unlike true investments, your house doesn't pay you. It doesn't generate income. It just sits there, draining your bank account while you work to keep up with the payments. People assume that because home values rise over time, they're automatically making money. But they forget one thing, your home isn't liquid. You can't just cash it out when you need it. And even if you sell it for more than you paid, where will you go? You'll need another house, likely at an even higher price. Meanwhile, the truly wealthy don't just buy homes, they buy income-producing assets. Rental properties, businesses, investments, things that bring in money without taking it away. So if you're stretching your budget just to own a home, thinking it's your key to wealth, think again. Because if all your money is locked up in your house, you're not rich, your house poor. You've been told since childhood, save your money, be responsible, build a nest egg. And while saving is important, here's the harsh truth, savings alone won't make you rich. In fact, if you're relying on your savings to build wealth, you're already losing. Why? One word, inflation. Every year, your money becomes worth less. What could buy you a full cart of groceries a few years ago barely covers half today. What once felt like a secure amount in the bank is now just a number shrinking in value. The average savings account earns less than 1% interest, inflation. That eats away at 3%, 5% or even more each year. That means if you're keeping all your money in a savings account, you're actually losing wealth over time. Look at the wealthiest people in the world. Do they park their money in a savings account and hope for the best? No, they put it into assets that grow. They invest in businesses, stocks, real estate, things that outpace inflation and make money work for them. So if your plan for financial freedom is to save a little bit from each paycheck and hope it adds up, think again. Because the game is rigged against savers. The system isn't reward only those who hoard money, it rewards those who put money to work. The choice is simple. Either your money is growing or it's dying. Which one is it doing right now? For decades, people have followed the same formula: go to school, get good grades, land a stable job, and work hard until retirement. But let me ask you, how many people do you know who followed that plan and actually became free? Not comfortable, not surviving, free. The truth is, the old system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you in line. College loads you with debt before you even start. Your 9 to 5 pays just enough to keep you coming back. And pensions, they're disappearing faster than ever, leaving people to realize too late that their secure plan was never secure at all. Look around. People with degrees are struggling to find jobs. Employees who gave 20, 30 years to a company are being replaced overnight. Retirement funds are shrinking, and the cost of living keeps rising. So if you're still playing by the old rules, hoping that a degree and a steady paycheck will give you freedom, I've got bad news for you. You're playing the wrong game. Real financial freedom doesn't come from working for someone else. It comes from ownership. It comes from investments, from multiple income streams, from building something that pays you even when you're not working. So ask yourself, are you building your future? Or are you just following a plan that was never meant to set you free? Because the choice is yours, but the time to make it is now. Look around you. Everywhere you go, people are consuming, scrolling, watching, spending, they're buying the latest gadget, wearing brands that aren't theirs, and fueling business they don't own. And the company's selling to them, they're getting richer every single day. Now let me ask you something. Which side of that equation are you on? Are you the one spending or the one profiting? Are you making someone else wealthy, or are you building something for yourself? Most people live their whole lives as consumers. They work to earn money, then turn around and spend it on things they didn't create. But if you want real success, real freedom, you have to flip the game. You have to stop buying and start building. Look at the people who changed the world: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs. They weren't focused on consuming, they were obsessed with creating. They built things that others wanted. They turned ideas into businesses, products, services, and in doing so, they stopped relying on a paycheck and started printing their own money. And guess what? You don't need millions to start. You just need to shift your mindset. Instead of spending hours consuming content, start creating content. Instead of buying things that depreciate, start investing in things that grow. Instead of being a customer, become a business owner. Because here's the truth: if you're always consuming, you'll always be paying. But if you start creating, you'll start earning. So are you ready to stop buying and start building? Because that's the only way to change your future. Let's get one thing straight. A paycheck will never make you wealthy. It doesn't matter how high your salary is, how many promotions you get, or how hard you work. As long as you're trading time for money, you are capped. Your income is limited by how many hours you can work. But the people who achieve true financial freedom, they don't just work for money, they make money work for them. Let me tell you a simple truth. Every time you get paid, you have two choices. You can spend that money like most people do on bills, entertainment, and things that lose value. Or you can invest it, put it into something that multiplies. And that's the difference between employees and investors. Employees earn and spend. Investors earn and grow. Think about it. You could work 40 years at a job, save a little and hope it's enough. Or you could take a percentage of what you earn and put it into stocks, real estate, businesses, things that generate wealth even while you sleep. This is how the wealthy live. They're not just working for a paycheck. They're using every dollar they make to buy freedom. So are you just collecting paychecks, or are you investing in something bigger? Because your future depends on the answer. Most people don't understand the difference between looking rich and being rich. They think success means driving the newest car, wearing designer brands, living in a big house. But let me tell you something, none of those things make you wealthy. In fact, they do the opposite. Because every time you spend on something that doesn't pay you back, you're digging a hole. You're buying liabilities, and liabilities don't make you money, they cost you money. A new car, it loses value the second you drive it off the lot. Expensive clothes, they don't generate income. A bigger house, there's bigger bills, bigger taxes, and more debt. Meanwhile, the rich are playing a different game. They don't waste their money on things that drain them, they put it into assets. An asset is something that pays you. It's a rental property that gives you passive income. It's a stock that grows over time. It's a business that generates money whether you work or not. And the sooner you start collecting assets instead of liabilities, the sooner you take control of your life. So next time you reach for your wallet, ask yourself, is this making me richer or keeping me stuck? Because the answer to that question will decide your future. If you don't make a change, 5 years from now, you'll be in the same place or worse. Let me ask you something. Where were you 5 years ago? Think about it. What were your dreams? What did you say you were going to do? And now look at where you are today. Have you grown? Have you moved forward? Or are you still standing in the same place telling yourself that someday you'll get to it? Here's the hard truth. If you don't change something right now, 5 years from today, it will look exactly the same or worse. Because time doesn't stand still. Life moves forward whether you do or not. And every single day that you stay stuck, every single day you delay action, you're not just staying in place, you're falling behind. Comfort is a slow poison. It keeps you where you are, whispering lies in your ear. There's still time, I'll do it next year, I'll start when things are better. But time doesn't wait for you to be ready. It keeps moving. And if you're not moving with it, you're being left behind. Look at the people around you who never made a change. The ones who kept saying someday. Did someday ever come? No, because someday isn't a real day. It's just an excuse wrapped in good intentions. If you want different results, you have to take different actions now. Inflation, debt, and rising costs don't wait for you to catch up. Here's something people don't like to talk about. The world doesn't slow down just because you're struggling. Bills don't stop piling up because you need a break. Rent doesn't freeze because you're not ready to level up. And guess what? The price of everything keeps rising whether your paycheck does or not. If you think life is expensive now, imagine where you'll be in 5 years if you don't take control. Inflation is real. Debt is real. The cost of living isn't getting any cheaper. And the longer you wait to fix your situation, the deeper the hole gets. Think about it. 5 years from now, will you be ahead, or will you be drowning in the same financial stress, maybe even worse? If you don't increase your skills, your income, your mindset, the gap between where you are and where you need to be will only grow wider. The world rewards those who adapt, who grow, who take action. It punishes those who stand still. So ask yourself, are you moving with the times, or are you getting left behind? Decide now, will you stay trapped or will you break free? Every single person reaches a moment when they have to decide, will I let life keep pushing me around, or will I take control? That moment is now, not tomorrow. Not next week, not when things settle down, right now. Because life isn't going to magically open a door for you. No one is coming to save you. If you don't fight for your freedom, financial freedom, mental freedom, physical freedom, then you are choosing to stay trapped. And that's the key. It's a choice. You either choose to stay in the cycle, repeating the same struggles, living with the same frustrations, or you choose to break free. You choose to step up, to learn, to grow, to take risks, to push past fear. Is it easy? No. Nothing worth having is. But what's the alternative? Staying stuck, waking up in 5 years, realizing you wasted even more time. No, not to you. Not today. Today you take the first step. Because 5 years from now, you will either look back with pride and how about you'll back with regret, wishing you had started when you had the chance. Which will it be? Let me ask you something. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I know I should be doing this, but then you don't do it? How many times have you promised yourself you'd start eating healthier, wake up earlier, work harder, or finally take that big step toward your goals only to find yourself stuck in the same place? It's not a lack of knowledge that holds most people back. The world of today is drowning in information. Everywhere you look, there's advice on how to get fit, make money, be successful, or live a better life. But has knowing what to do ever been the real problem? No. The real problem is action. The real problem is hesitation, doubt, and the invisible walls we build between what we know and what we actually do. So the question is, why? Why do people fail to act when they already know what needs to be done? The answer is simple, but it's not easy to hear, because action requires effort, and effort requires discomfort. Change demands sacrifice. And most people deep down are ready to leave behind what's comfortable. They're waiting for motivation to strike, for the perfect moment to come, for fear to disappear. But that moment never comes, because action creates motivation, not the other way away. This is the battlefield. This is where potential is either realized or wasted. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you never act on it, it means nothing. Think about how many dreams have been buried in the space between knowing and doing. How many people have spent years saying, one day I'll start, until they wake up and realize they've run out of time? That gap, that hesitation, that delay, that excuse is the graveyard of ambition. It's where people with talent settle for less. It's where people with vision let fear talk them out of it. It's where people who could have been great choose comfort over courage. And here's the truth, every time you hesitate, every time you make an excuse, every time you push something off until tomorrow, you are making a choice. A choice to stay the same. A choice to let your dreams slide further out of reach. A choice to let fear win. The people who succeed, they don't wait. They don't overthink. They don't get stuck in endless planning. They move. They take messy, imperfect action. They don't wait until they feel ready, because they know that readiness is a lie. Some people think if they just read one more book, watch one more video, or take one more course, they'll finally be ready. But success isn't about how much you know, it's about what you do with what you know. Think about it. How many people know how to get in dance shape but never step foot in the gym? How many people know what it takes to build a business but never take the first step? How many people know exactly what they need to change but never actually change it? Knowledge without action is just potential wasted. Doesn't matter how much you know if you never use it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is intelligence, talent, or luck. It's execution. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop looking for more information to validate what you already know. You already have everything you need to start. The only thing losers wait for the perfect time. Winners start where they are. Let me tell you something, there is no such thing as a perfect time. No magic moment when all the stars align and life hands you an invitation to start. Waiting for the perfect time is the fastest way to waste your life. Think about it, how many dreams have been buried under the excuse of not the right time? How many people have talked themselves out of taking the first step, convincing themselves they'll start when they have more money, more energy, more confidence? That day never comes. Because perfect is just an illusion, a lie we tell ourselves to avoid stepping into the unknown. Winners don't wait. They start with what they have, where they are. They take action before they feel ready. Because readiness isn't a requirement, it's a result. You don't become confident by waiting for confidence. You build it by stepping into the discomfort, by moving forward despite the doubts. Every success story you admire started with someone taking that first step, even when they were scared, even when they were uncertain. The difference between those who make it and those who don't: one started, the other waited. So ask yourself, are you waiting for a sign? This is it. There is no better time than right now. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Because waiting won't get you anywhere but action. That changes everything. Motion is power. Action fuels progress. The moment you take one step, everything starts to shift. But when you do nothing, that's when regret creeps in. Let's be honest, how many times do you look back and thought, I should have started sooner? How many dreams have you shelved because you hesitated, and now all you feel is that weight of what could have been? That's the price of inaction. It doesn't just steal your progress, it steals your peace. Momentum doesn't come from thinking, planning, or waiting, it comes from doing. The smallest action can break through the biggest barriers. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something. You don't need to run a marathon today, just put on your shoes and walk. You don't need to master a skill overnight, just start practicing. The moment you take action, you create movement, and movement leads to progress. And here's the truth: regret is heavier than failure. Failing at something is painful, but at least you tried. At least you have a lesson to show for it. But regret, it lingers, it eats at you. It leaves you wondering what could have been if only you had acted. So make the choice today. Choose momentum, choose progress, because the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret, that lasts forever. Fear of failure is not real, it's just a story you tell yourself to stay safe. It's your mind protecting you from discomfort, from risk, from the unknown. But let me ask you what's more dangerous: failing or staying exactly where you are? Think about every great success story you've ever heard. Every single one of them is built on failure. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. But they didn't let failure stop them. Because failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. It's the process. You will fail, you will stumble, you will have moments where you question everything. But that's how you grow. That's how you learn. The problem isn't failing, it's refusing to try because you're afraid. Because here's the truth: if you avoid failure, you avoid success. If you refuse to take risks, you refuse to grow. Playing it safe is the fastest way to stay stuck. So stop waiting for guarantees. Stop waiting for permission. Stop making fear an excuse to stay in the same place. Your comfort zone might feel safe, but it's also a prison. Break out, take the leap. Fail forward. Because the only real failure is never trying at all. F to do is moved out. Let me tell you something: your brain is a master of excuses. It is designed to keep you safe, to keep you comfortable, to keep you exactly where you are. And every single time you hesitate, every single time you stop to think about taking action, your brain will find a way to talk you out of it. That's why the 3-second rule is one of the most powerful weapons you can have in your arsenal. Because if you don't act within 3 seconds, your mind will convince you to stay still. Think about the last time you wanted to speak up at a meeting. The idea popped into your head, and for a split second, you thought about saying it out loud. But then you hesitated, you questioned yourself, and before you knew it, your brain whispered, maybe it's not a good idea. Or maybe you wanted to approach someone, start a conversation, or take the first step towards something new. But you waited, and the moment passed. That's not just coincidence, your mind working against you. So what do? You train yourself to move before doubt creeps in. The moment you feel the impulse to act, count down. 3, 2, 1, move. Don't give yourself time to second guess. Don't allow hesitation to set in. Because hesitation breeds overthinking. And overthinking, that is the graveyard of opportunity. How many moments have died in your mind before they even had a chance to live? How many ideas have you buried under layers of doubt and hesitation? How many times have you watched an opportunity slip through your fingers because you were too busy thinking instead of doing? Let me tell you something: the most successful people in the world are not the ones who never feel doubt. They are the ones who move despite it. They feel the fear and they act anyway. Look at the greats, whether in business, sports, or life. Do you think they had all the answers? No, but they took action. They stepped forward when their brain screamed at them to step back. They spoke when their voice trembled. They jumped before they felt ready. Because here's the truth, you will never feel fully prepared. You will never have a perfect moment. And if you wait for one, you'll be waiting forever. So starting today, make it your mission to stop hesitating. Stop overthinking. Train yourself to act before your brain has a chance to shut you down. You feel like working out? Stand up within 3 seconds. You want to say something important? Speak before your brain convinces you otherwise. You have an idea, write it down and act on it immediately. Make movement your default. Because hesitation is a habit, and so is action. If you want to change your life, start with this 3 seconds. That's all it takes. Don't think if you want something you've never had, you must have missed something you've never done. Think about that for a second. If your life looks the same as it did a year ago, same struggles, same frustrations, same unfulfilled dreams, it's because you're doing the same things. Success doesn't show up just because you wish for it. It shows up when you change your actions. You want to be stronger. You have to lift heavier. You want to be wealthier. You have to make different financial choices. You want to be happier. You have to cut out the things and people that drain you. But here's the problem. Most people aren't willing to step outside the routine, the predictable, the comfortable. They want the reward, but they don't want to risk the unknown. Look at history's greatest achievers. Every one of them faced a moment where they had to step into something new, something uncertain, something terrifying. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. Imagine if he had given up after failure number 500. What if he had said, maybe this just isn't for me? The question is, what have you been avoiding? What have you been telling yourself is too hard, too risky, too different? Because that might be the exact thing that will change your life. Comfort and success do not coexist. Let me be brutally honest with you. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. Growth is painful. Success is uncomfortable. You think champions feel good when they wake up at 4 a.m. to train. You think entrepreneurs enjoy sacrificing sleep, weekends, and social lives to build something from nothing. No, but they do it anyway. The problem is people crave comfort more than they crave success. They want security more than they want greatness. They'd rather watch TV than work on their dream. They'd rather complain about their problems than do the hard, uncomfortable work of fixing them. And then they wonder why their lives never change. Every time you choose comfort, you choose to stay where you are. And every time you push through discomfort, you step closer to your goals. It's that simple. Think about a butterfly. Before it can fly, it has to struggle. It has to break free from the cocoon. If someone were to cut it out, trying to make it easier, the butterfly would never develop the strength to fly. That's you. Your struggles are building your wings if you let them. So ask yourself, what are you willing to be uncomfortable for? Because that's where your success lies. Success isn't about what you're willing to do, it's about what you're willing to give up. Everybody wants success, but very few are willing to pay the price. And make no mistake, there is always a price. You want to get in shape, you have to give up junk food, late nights, laziness. You want financial freedom. You have to give up reckless spending, instant gratification, the need to impress people who don't even care. You want a better life. You have to give up your excuses. Most people don't fail because they aren't willing to do the work. They fail because they aren't willing to let go of the things holding them back. They want success, but they refuse to sacrifice comfort, bad habits, toxic relationships, or distractions. And that's why they stay stuck. Look at elite performer athletes, business leaders, artists. They all gave up something. They sacrificed nights out, mindless entertainment, even friendships that no longer align with their goals. They understood that to gain something great, they had to let go of something lesser. So I ask you, what are you holding on to that's keeping you from success? What habits, people, mindsets are weighing you down? Because until you're willing to let go, you'll never move forward. Your future is waiting for you, but it demands sacrifice. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Don't wait, don't analyze, just move. And watch how your world begins to change right now. In this moment, decide what's the first move you're going to make. Life is not a waiting room. It doesn't pause until you're ready, it moves with or without you. Right now, at this exact moment, you have a choice. You can keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep telling yourself that you'll start when things feel right. Or you can act. You can make the first move. The problem isn't that you don't have what it takes. The problem is that you keep waiting to feel ready. But let me tell you something, reading this is a lie. You will never wake up one day and suddenly feel like the stars have aligned for you to start chasing your goals. That moment doesn't exist. What does exist is this moment. Right now, where you decide where you're going to move forward or stay exactly where you are. Think about it. Every great success story starts a single decision. A decision to try. A decision to start. A decision to take one step forward, no matter how small. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be something. Because action creates momentum. Momentum changes everything. So what's it going to be? What's the first move you're going to make? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Right now. Decide. Someday is the most dangerous word in the world. It's the excuse that keeps dreams buried and potential wasted. How many times have you told yourself, someday I'll start eating healthier? Someday I'll launch that business. Someday I'll finally chase my passion. But someday never comes. It's an illusion. A mirage that keeps you stuck in the same place year after year, waiting for a perfect time that will never arrive. The only thing that exists, the only thing that has ever existed is today. And what you do to today determines whether you stay stuck in the cycle of someday or whether you finally break free. Look around you. Life is moving fast. Opportunities don't wait. Time doesn't slow down. And neither should you. Every day you push things off to someday is another day wasted. Another day where your goals sit untouched and your potential stays locked away, and your life remains exactly the same. The truth is brutal but simple. You either use today or you lose today. And once it's gone, it's never coming back. So stop waiting, stop making excuses. If it matters to you, do something about it now. Because someday is a lie. Today is all you've got. Picture yourself 5 years from now. Where are you? What kind of life are you living? Are you proud of the choices you made today? Or are you filled with regret, wishing you had started sooner, wishing you had done more? Your future self is not some distant stranger. It's you, the same you shaped by the choices you make right now. Every action you take today is a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. And make no mistake, you are always building something. The question is, are you building the life you actually want to live? Every time you choose discipline over comfort, your future self thanks you. Every time you push through doubt and take action, your future self wins. But every time you procrastinate, every time you settle, every time you let fear hold you back, your future self suffers. So what's it going to be? A future where you look back and say, I'm glad I did, or a future where you say, I wish I had. You are shaping your destiny in this very moment. Your future self is watching. What are you going to do? Rich people don't talk about this secret because they don't need to. They live it. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about mindset. It's about habits. It's about a way of thinking and acting that sets successful people apart. Rich people don't sit around discussing the secret to success because they don't need to. They embody it. They wake up every morning with a plan. They take action when others hesitate. They build while others dream. They move with purpose while others make excuses. The real secret, it's not some hidden formula or a guarded piece of knowledge. It's discipline. It's consistency. It's the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. And that's exactly why most people never get there, because discipline isn't sexy. It isn't glamorous. It isn't something you can buy in a book or a seminar. Look around you. The world is filled with distractions, with people looking for shortcuts, for magic formulas, for someone else to come and fix their lives. But the wealthy, they aren't looking for shortcuts. They create systems. They put in the work. They play the long game. If you want to change your life, you have to stop searching for the secret and start living it. Get up earlier, learn more, work harder, take risks, build something, and most importantly, stick with it when it gets tough. Because that's the difference between those who succeed and those who spend their lives wondering what could have been. We live in a world that conditions us to believe the answers are always somewhere else. A new book, a new course, a new guru with the one thing that will change everything. And yet, after all the searching, most people remain exactly where they started, stuck. Why? Because they refuse to look in the one place that actually matters, themselves. You don't need another self-help book to tell you what to do. Deep down, you already know. You know that if you want to be healthier, you need to eat better and move more. You know that if you want to be successful, you need to work harder, think smarter, stop wasting time. You know that if you want better relationships, you have to communicate, to listen, to show up as your best self. But knowing isn't enough. The real question is, why aren't you doing it? Most people don't take action because they're waiting for permission. They're waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting until they feel ready. Let me tell you something, there is no perfect moment. You will never feel fully ready. The time to start was yesterday, the next best time. Right now. The answers you seek have always been within you, but they don't mean anything unless you act on them. Stop looking for someone to save you. Stop waiting for a sign. The only person who can change your life is you. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't knowledge, it's action. We live in the most information-rich era in history. Any skill you want to learn, any question you need answered, it's all at your fingertips. And yet most people still aren't where they want to be. Why? Because knowledge isn't the problem. Action is. Think about it. How many people know what it takes to lose weight but never do it? How many people know how to make more money but never take the steps? How many people dream of a better life but spend their days scrolling, complaining, and making excuses instead of making moves? The difference between success and failure isn't intelligence. It isn't even talent. It's execution. The best ideas in the world mean nothing without action. And yet most people stay stuck in learning mode, convincing themselves they need to read one more book, watch one more video, take one more course before they start. That's a lie. That's procrastination disguised as preparation. The truth is, the only way to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be is to move. To take the first step, even when you're scared, to keep going, even when it's hard, to push forward, even when you feel like quitting. You don't need more information. You need more courage. You need to take more risks. You need to stop thinking and start doing. Because at the end of the day, the people who succeed aren't the ones who know the most, they're the ones who took action when others hesitated. Let me lay it out for you. 2 paths, 2 choices, 2 futures. Path 1, stay the same. Keep hoping, keep waiting, keep playing it safe. You already know this path, it's comfortable. From here, it's for you to tell yourself maybe one day things will change. But let's be real, how long have you been saying that? How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? And how many times has tomorrow come and gone looking exactly like yesterday? This is the path where you sit back and watch. You scroll through other people's successes, wondering when your turn will come. You see opportunities, but you hesitate. You dream, but you don't act. And every day that dream gets a little further away. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time. But let me ask you, when has life ever handed you the perfect moment on a silver platter? It doesn't. Because the right time is something you wait for. Something you create. Now let's talk about the other path. Path 2, shift your mindset. Own your future. Make the move that scares you. This is the path where everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you decide to take control. This is where you stop waiting for permission and start giving it to yourself. It's where you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I succeed? Won't be easy. Won't demand more from you than you ever thought possible. It will push you past your comfort zone, force you to face your fears, and challenge you in ways you never expected. But let me tell you something on this path, every step forward makes you stronger. Every obstacle you overcome builds you up. And every single challenge you face, it's shaping you into the person you were meant to be. And that's the truth. If you choose to stay where you are, 5 years from now, you'll look back and wonder what could have been. You'll wish you had started when you had the chance. You'll see others who took the leap and you'll wonder why you didn't. That kind of regret doesn't fade. It lingers. It eats away at you because deep down you'll know you've had the power to change, but you let fear hold you back. But if you choose growth, if you choose to take that step, you'll look back and thank yourself. You'll see how far you've come. You'll remember the fear, but more importantly, you'll remember how you pushed through it. In that moment, that's where you realize you didn't just change your future, you changed yourself. So here's the question, which path are you going to take 5 years from now? You'll either look back at this moment as the day everything changed, or it's just another time you let fear win. Think about that for a second. 5 years, it sounds like a long time, but it isn't. It will pass in the blink of an eye. The question is, when that day comes, will you be proud of who you become? Or will you look back with regret, wishing you had started today? Every single one of us has had that moment, the moment we stand at the edge of change, staring at the path ahead, knowing exactly what we need to do. But then fear whispers in our ear. What if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if it doesn't work out? And for too many people, fear wins again and again. And let me tell you something, fear is a liar. It convinces you that staying where you are is safer, but safety is an illusion. 5 years from now, you won't be in the same place. You'll either be further ahead or further behind. There is no standing still. Life doesn't wait for you to gather the courage. Opportunities don't pause while you make up your mind. The real danger isn't failing. The real danger is waking up one day and realizing you let your life pass you by. So ask yourself, will this be the moment everything changes? Or just another time you let fear win? Success isn't a mystery. It's not luck. It's not reserved to the special few. It comes down to willingness to endure discomfort. That's the price. And most people aren't willing to pay it. We all want the reward, but very few want the work. We want financial freedom, but we don't want to sacrifice nights and weekends to build something of our own. We want to be fit and strong, but we don't want to push through the pain of the workout. We want confidence and self-respect, but we don't want to do the hard things that earn them. But here's the truth. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret lasts forever. Think about the people you admire. The ones who have built incredible lives. They didn't get there by choosing what was easy. They got there because they made the trade. They trade comfort for growth. They chose struggle over stagnation. They were willing to be uncomfortable in the short term because they knew the long-term reward was worth it. So I'll ask you again, are you willing to be uncomfortable now so you can live in freedom? Let's sell. Or will you keep choosing comfort only to find yourself trapped in a life you don't love? Let's be honest, you don't need another book, another podcast, another motivational video. You don't need more advice. You already know what you need to do. The problem isn't knowledge, it's action. You know you need to stop making excuses. You know you need to stop waiting for the perfect time. You know you need to stop looking for a shortcut. You know what habits you need to break. You know what sacrifices you need to make. You know what steps you need to take. But knowing doesn't change your life. Doing does. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with more information. It's filled with consistent action. It's filled with showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It's filled with pushing forward when motivation runs out. So here's the real question, will you do it? Or will you let another day pass, another week, another year, waiting for something to change while you refuse to change yourself? Because at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to do it for you. It's you versus you. And the outcome, it's entirely up to you. No more excuses. No more waiting. No more someday. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many dreams have you buried under the weight of hesitation? Let me tell you something, tomorrow is not promised, and someday is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid action. The clock is ticking, and every second you wait is a second you can never get back. People say they want change, they want success, they want freedom, but when it comes time to take that first step, they hesitate. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it's easier to stay in the same routine, to make excuses, to blame circumstances. But here's the truth, excuses don't build success. Waiting doesn't create results. And someday never comes unless you make today the day you start. The life you want isn't given, it's taken. You think the life you dream of is going to just show up at your door one day. No, no one is going to hand it to you. No one is coming to save you. If you want it, you have to take it. You have to fight for it. You have to wake up every single day and choose to earn it. Look at anyone who has built something great. The athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't hope for luck. They took what they wanted through relentless effort, through discipline, through sacrifice. And that same power, it's in you, but you have to be willing to claim it. The world doesn't owe you anything. If you want success, take action. If you want strength, build it. If you want respect, earn it. The ones who win in life aren't the ones who are handed the best circumstances, they're the ones who refuse to let anything stop them. The choice is yours, and it starts now, right here, right now. You have a decision to make. Do you stay the same? Do you let another day slip by filled with the same excuses, the same doubts, the same regrets? Or do you decide that enough is enough? This is the moment you stop talking about what you want and start doing something about it. Because that's what it all comes down to, a choice. A choice to rise or remain stuck. A choice to take control or stay powerless. A choice to start or keep waiting. And the second you make that choice to go all in, everything changes. So what's it going to be? Are you going to let life keep passing you by, or are you going to stand up, take control, and make today the day everything turns around? The power is in your hands. The time is now. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more someday.